If you've been in relationships with people you feel might be high on the scale of NPD, if you've been in them in the past or are currently in relationships with people like that, you probably have spent a lot of time Googling or replaying conversation after conversation or keeping your focus on every micro expression that they make in hopes to being able to determine 100% concrete if they are a narcissist or not. If that's your case, one, I want you to know you're not alone. More importantly, I want you to know there's a way better way to keep yourself safe emotionally than just becoming a radar to narcissist or narcissistic behavior. So that being said, let's dive in.
For those that don't know me, my name is Michele. I'm a somatic experiencing practitioner and the founder of the School of Transformation, which I consider to be like nervous system rehab. As a trauma survivor myself, I know exactly what it's like to have to rewire your whole nervous system so that instead of staying stuck in protection, you can step into authenticity and connection. And I teach everything that I learned along the way in the School of Transformation. So if you're looking to do the inner work to heal in a community, I invite you to check out the School of Transformation.
Okay, so first let's validate why we might get stuck fixated on labeling the narcissist, because I don't want anyone to feel shamed for this behavior because it can make sense. So one reason this happens has to do with validation, especially with narcissistic relationships. There is so much gaslighting. Your feelings, even your reality, are constantly being dismissed and denied. And so when you don't understand narcissistic abuse, you really start asking yourself or thinking and believing you're crazy because it doesn't make sense. And so suddenly you fall into videos like mine and so many others, and you're like, oh, there's a name for this. And you start reading stories and you can relate. It's almost like you dated the same man as everyone else because narcissists are cut from the same mold, but it gives you that validation. It gives you that validation that helps you to realize you're not crazy. This is real. You are not imagining it, and what happened matters. I remember when I first learned about narcissistic abuse, and I learned it from a therapist, and he told me how narcissists are expert manipulators, and he points to his wall, which is clearly painted yellow. He goes, narcissists are such good manipulators. They can look at that wall and be like, no, that's not yellow. And by the end of the conversation, you're doubting your perception and you're starting to wonder if maybe there's something wrong with your eyesight or maybe you're colorblind, because that's how good of a manipulator they are. And so you start gaining information, you start realizing, oh, this is narcissistic abuse. But if that person is still in your life and you're spending time with them, their manipulation starts altering your perception again. And then there's that need to continue to watch, to continue to stay on alert, to determine, is this person being a narcissist or not? The problem with that is basically they are training you to stay hyper vigilant, hyper focused on them, and in a flight trauma response. The second reason we stay hyper focused on them and if they're a narcissist or not is because it gives us a temporary sense of control and safety. In other words, naming the threat gives us a temporary sense of control because it's like, if I know who they are, then I can predict what's going to happen and I can stay safe. In other words, know thy enemy. But again, this is a survival tactic. The problem is it keeps you in survival mode, which doesn't allow you to feel like you're living your best life as your best self. And the third reason that sometimes we get stuck and almost obsessed with determining if they are a narcissist or not has to do with a desperate need for closure. It's almost like if we can know for sure, then I can close the door on that and move on. Uncertainty is uncomfortable if you've been through relational trauma. And so it's your body's way of desperately seeking certainty. Here's the catch. The label doesn't heal the wound, and it can actually keep people stuck in analyzing them instead of shifting focus back onto you, your body, your nervous system, and your healing. It's like trying to stop an allergic reaction by obsessing over what species of bee stung you. Yes, the information matters somewhat, but healing actually comes from tending to the sting and your own body's responses. And so the deeper question becomes, what in me feels so desperate for this certainty? What part of me believes I need to fully understand them in order to finally heal? Now, don't get me wrong, I went through my own obsession of doing this at one time, but I began to realize that this obsession of needing to know if they're a narcissist or not was really so much energy leakage. Energy I was giving to them and taking away from myself. And it was keeping me stuck in the suffering of narcissistic abuse, being unable to move towards healing. Now, it was a strategy to keep me safe, but it wasn't a good strategy. It would be equivalent to me walking around and analyzing every single person, like, could this person rob me? Is this person safe? Is this person capable of stealing and of breaking into my home? And I'm overly focused on every little thing everyone does, and meanwhile my home is unprotected. It's the same thing with narcissistic abuse. When we're focusing constantly on them, our focus is so much on them that our home, our nervous system, our inner sense of safety is unprotected. And so in regards to keeping our home safe, what we would really need is a security system, a dependable alarm system. And it's the same thing with us in regards to narcissists. And so let's notice this truth on a body level. I want you to think about how you feel when you're analyzing if they're a narcissist or not. Isn't there tension in your body? Your eyes, like you get that tunnel vision, right? Where you're overly focused, you're hyper vigilant. It doesn't feel safe when we're in that state. Our breathing, in fact, is shallow. Our heart might be racing. That's survival mode. That's not safety and authenticity. And when we stay stuck in that state, thinking we're trying to keep ourselves safe, what we're actually doing is living in survival mode, being stuck in fear, and living there 24/7 is exhausting. It steals your joy, it steals your presence, it steals your creativity, everything that makes you your best and most authentic self. When we wind up looping in these habits is because narcissistic abuse doesn't just break your heart, it breaks your inner compass. Narcissists train you to doubt yourself. They condition you to need their approval, their validation, before you can trust your own reality, your own perception. And so your brain gets rewired to look outward for validation. And that's why the obsession with the label feels so urgent. Your nervous system is desperately trying to outsource safety without realizing that you are capable of building it from the inside. Now, the good news is that just like you can recalibrate a compass, you can recalibrate your nervous system. And here are 3 ways to do that. Number 1 is learning how to create safety from the inside. Number 2, learning how to trust your gut instincts again. Your body has been communicating with you for a long time, but you've lost the ability to notice what it's saying and to trust it. You can strengthen that again. And the 3rd way is about learning how to give yourself power by learning how to validate yourself, your needs, your wants, your perspectives, your reality, without needing anyone else to give their stamp of approval in order for you to trust yourself. And so when you learn those 3 things, here's what that looks like. And by the way, I know that's a lot easier said than done, and sometimes we need extra help and support to do so. So if you're wanting to shift into embodying those 3 things and you're struggling on your own, make sure you join me live weekly on Zoom because I help people to do this. But anyway, what this looks like in real time is that, let's say you strengthen your inner compass. When, not if, but when somebody tries to manipulate you, when somebody is disrespectful, when somebody is being dismissive or gaslighting you, rather than spiraling into, are they a narcissist? Aren't they? What should I do if they're a narcissist? How do I handle this if they're a narcissist? Rather than spiraling down that route, you feel something from the inside that says, that doesn't feel right for me. Doesn't matter if they're a narcissist or not. I don't like that behavior. It feels uncomfortable. And so regardless of the label, you start shifting into, well, since I don't like that, how does my best self want to handle this? And you start acting from that place. So it has nothing to do with who they are. You act from that place because of who you are and what feels right and true and good for your nervous system. Now, I don't know how you see that, but for me, when I learned this, that was real freedom. It wasn't about having this perfect radar for narcissists. It was about having a strong relationship with myself. So if you're tired of looping on them and you're ready to come back home into your body, this is your time to stop giving your power away and to start taking it back. In the School of Transformation, we train your nervous system for safety. We help you to rebuild self-trust and your gut instinct and help you to fully step into your authentic self. So if you're ready to stop obsessing about them and start living as you, the school is where that shift begins.